You do what you do for less selfish reasons?
Exactly. It's like Green Lantern explained to me earlier.
Don't say it.
We're above all that.
You heard it, folks. Straight from the source. The Just Us League says we're better than you.
Yeah. Wait, no!
We're out of time. Tomorrow, more.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. It's been a big day in my household. I'm up very late. I'm hoping this gets out on Wednesday night, but it's looking like it's probably going to be out first thing for Thursday morning, but it was my son's birthday today. He turned 2 years old. We were very excited about that. Had a good time. I got a little bit of a late start, but I am going to get this review done, and I'm also going to review Star Wars War of Bounty Hunters. That's definitely happening. I got a couple other things that I've already recorded, so big things happening here on the channel. Let's talk about Heroes Reborn, something that's been much derided, certainly here on the channel. I'm very skeptical that they're even using the Heroes Reborn name, and I was right. This comic book has nothing to do with Heroes Reborn, at least the first one. This is much more like Age of Apocalypse, but for the Avengers. Although there's just a few things missing here that kind of hold the story back. It didn't roll out correctly. Age of Apocalypse happens because there's an event where they go back in time and they change history, and we go to this alternate timeline and it has to be fixed. Here you're just in the alternate timeline. You're not sure what happened. I imagine that's part of the mystery. How did we get here? But it doesn't feel like it was really, like the foundation wasn't really laid in this book, and that's one of the things holding it back. So I don't even know if there's technically a story here. It's like, I recommend this, but I don't know if there's actually a story in this comic book, because it is a lot of laying groundwork that probably should have been laid in the pages of the Avengers if they are going to do a event comic. But I can thankfully say Jason Aaron's Avengers run has been putrid for quite some time. This is pretty good. This is entertaining. It's fun. You know, it's got a popcorn kind of fun comic book. Not a lot of stuff serious going here, although sometimes it takes itself serious. I don't know. It is a little bit uneven as far as the tone and stuff. But for the most part, this is a lot of fun. I'm recommending it, giving it like a 3.5 star. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about this comic book. We got to start out with the art, which is immaculate. Ed McGuinness, absolutely knocks it out of the park. Inker Mark Morales, really, come on, comic books. Come on, Marvel. Come on, DC. You need to be using inkers because it really helps establish the characters, the depth of the art, the clarity. It just looks so much better here, and the color from Matthew Wilson, also fabulous. This isn't, I wouldn't call this like 5-star art. This isn't like Jason Fabok, Batman 3 Jokers, but it's not far off. This is like 4.5 star art. It's very, very good. I think people are going to enjoy this. It's actually bright and vibrant for kind of a darker story that they're trying to tell, and quite enjoyable. If you always wanted to see what it would look like for the Justice League to replace the Avengers, this is the event for you. This is that story. Now, getting into it, our point of view character, the character that knows the real history of everything that's happened, is Blade. We knew that coming into it, and it's a lot of exposition from Blade, explaining, he woke up weeks earlier, covered in blood in London. He didn't know where he was, and he was living in squalor. He tried to contact Avengers Mountain, but it's not there because there was never any Avengers. And then he runs down a list of everything like that happened to these characters. Tony Stark never took shrapnel. He's just an industrial, defense contractor making tons of money off of war. Jennifer Walters is just an attorney. Bruce Banner, when the first time he got hulked out, he was sent off and never came back from the Squadron Supreme. And so we get this rundown of all not all of them, but a lot of the major players as far as Marvel Comics and the current Avengers roster. Like Robbie Reyes is a high school student. And that's a lot of what this is. It's kind of catching you up on what's going on. This kind of at least plays into a plot. Blade does believe that the turning point is when Captain America was lost during World War II, but was never found. And why he wasn't found was because the Squadron Supreme became like the defenders of Earth, and there was no need for the Avengers. No one needed to go find Steve Rogers frozen. Tony Stark didn't need to transform into Iron Man and give up his defense business and all this. So it's a domino effect, and everything has changed in this timeline. But Blade knows how it's supposed to be, and it's got this weird dialogue. And he's like, the one thing that I can't shake is, what if this new world is better than the one I lost? And then he just goes in and just trashes the hell out of it. This is the worst page in the entire comic, and I'm not talking about the art or even the idea of Dr. Juggernaut, which I think, it's fun. We'll get into the villains. But listen to this dialogue. How much of this actually has anything to do with the story? And how much of it is Jason Aaron sitting on a pulpit? Also, right before this, he talks about how this new world might be better than one he left. Well, it certainly sounds like it's awful. Maybe there aren't any vampires, but this weird new world ain't exactly all roses. There are still places where people starve while others feast, where generations of men wallow in ignorance and bigotry like hogs in slop, where a river of blood gets spilled every day for no good reason at all. There are still TV preachers and crooked politicians and rednecks with terrible taste in beer. And you'll find plenty of super fascists running around, happy to mistake people and planets for playthings. How much of this actually pertains to the story that Jason Aaron's trying to tell? The last part absolutely does. You'll find plenty of super fascists running around, happy to mistake people and planets for playthings. Talking about Thanos, perhaps Dr. Juggernaut here, and talking about some of the heavy hitters. We do see a version of Red Skull called Black Skull. That's likely in reference to them. But everything before that is just Jason Aaron's soapboxing for no reason. Does that even sound like it's coming out of Blade? Not really. So it's stuff like this that just takes you out of the story. Jason Aaron, why even include this? The only thing that this is going to do, it doesn't add to the story. It's just going to make people grab their comic book, close it, and say, what was I thinking? I shouldn't have bought Heroes Reborn #1 like I thought in the first place. And for the most part, I think most people are going to enjoy this comic. Even though it doesn't totally make sense and there's not really a story here, but there's lots of, there's a lot of fan service, a lot of fun things to see. There's a lot of little Easter eggs, and that's probably why I enjoyed this comic book so much. Now we get into the heroes, and the heroes are essentially the DC Comics heroes, and we've got the new Trinity. We've got Hyperion, who's Superman, and Dr. Juggernaut's got him like held by the throat, and he uses his enormous neck muscles to blast his hand off. We've got knockoff Batman character Nighthawk, who's connected right into President Coulson. Yes, Coulson is the president here. And he's clearly the Batman. You see Bat kind of symbols, and he's fighting like a version of Venom. And we've got Power Girl, who's clearly Wonder Woman. That character is not even trying to be anything else. We find out that the gods are all dead because of this enormous sword-bearing dude. He's apparently cleared out Asgard and the other sources of gods in the universe. So these are the new heroes. It's the Squadron Supreme. It's the Justice League, but in Marvel Comics. And as far as I can tell, these are the good guys, but clearly under the control of the bad guys. And we do get the villains. So the heroes are all DC Comics heroes, like leading in the Marvel universe, but the villains are all established Marvel villains, but they're mashups. Like Doctor Doom now has the Sidorak crystal, so he's Dr. Juggernaut. Thanos no longer has the Infinity Gauntlet with the Infinity Stones. He's got the Infinity Rings, kind of like the 10 rings. Red Skull is now Black Skull, and apparently he's mashed up with Venom. And Scarlet Witch has absorbed the powers of her brother. Now she's like the Silver Witch, and she's a super speedster fighting off with this new version of Flash and whatnot. And it's a lot of fun. When Jason Aaron is hamming it up and saying, hey, look at this, these characters, at least the heroes talk like DC characters. These are established Marvel characters, but they're, fun, silly mashups. It's actually a pretty good time. And then at the heart of it all is clearly Coulson. He's definitely the bad guy. Look at the look on his face. It doesn't matter that the Squadron Supreme think they're fighting on the side of good because they're being led by him. And I assume this is where everything changed, that he has made some type of deal with Mephisto. We've certainly seen Mephisto more than a few times within Jason Aaron's Avengers run. We've seen Coulson, back in the beginning with the Squadron Supreme. He made some type of deal with Mephisto, and Mephisto went and changed history and allowed the Squadron Supreme to become the Earth's mightiest heroes rather than the Avengers. There was no need for them, and they never rose to power. If you're just here for the fun, and you can just skip that one page of stupid dialogue that makes no sense and has absolutely nothing to the story, it's only there to turn people off and make people throw the book away. I think people, for the most part, are going to have a lot of fun. As I mentioned, if there's a story here, there ain't much of a story. Vast majority of this is information dump, setting the table for this big, this big event. I think is it 20 issues? It's something like that. It's not nearly as big as that Star Wars thing I'll be talking about tomorrow or Friday. As near as I can tell, this is the story and Blade's plan. How he's executing this and doing this, I have no idea. Apparently, Blade can teleport or something right now, but he's looking for people that can confirm that they know that this old world exists or what changed, and he's trying to bring back the Avengers. He finds Thor, who never found his hammer, and explains it to him. He's like, your father sent you to Earth. He made you human to humble you. You were supposed to find your hammer and become the god of thunder, but you never did it. You're sitting here drinking mead out of a horn. And there's a big brouhaha. He brings the thunder, but I guess it sparks something within Thor, and he kind of realizes. And then Blade and Nighthawk, at first it appears that they're helping each other and they're kind of fighting side by side, but then they're in each other's faces, and it looks like maybe they want to hurt each other. And this just comes out of nowhere. I still don't even know what the hell he's talking about. I've been searching the whole damn globe for proof that I ain't insane. How are you searching the whole damn globe in 2 weeks? You said you woke up 2 weeks ago in London. How have you searched the whole globe? He must be a teleporter now. Maybe he's mashed up with Nightcrawler. I just need to see it in somebody's eyes. Somebody else who knows this world is all a big damn lie. And now I have. Where does he see this in Nighthawk? He just knows? Are we supposed to just believe the character that Nighthawk secretly knows that the Avengers should be, the Earth's mightiest heroes, but because of some deal Coulson made with Mephisto, he's just going along with it? This is just out of nowhere. He's like, okay, how do we know that he knows? How do you know that he knows? You can just see in his eyes. Okay. And then somehow this sparks Thor to go and find his hammer. Apparently he knew it was there the whole time, but his reaction is, by all the gods, he never knew it was there, but he knew exactly where to go to find it. And then Blade finds Steve Rogers frozen in the ocean. That's the comic book. This is as much as close to a story as you're going to get in here. I think it's paper thin. The story is not all that engaging. It's not very well laid out. It wasn't set up well at all, because it wasn't set up, period, almost. Other than we did see Coulson in earlier runs of the Avengers, and we have seen Mephisto. I guess that was the precursor for all this happening. But there's a lot of fun to be had. If you like Easter eggs, if you wanted to see DC Comics heroes, the Justice League, in the Marvel Comics universe, taking care of classic Marvel heroes that have been mashed up with each other, there's a lot of fun to be had. Is this the world's greatest comic book? No. It's a 3.5 star. Recommend, because the art is fantastic, and there's enough fun to be had that I think a lot of people will enjoy it. This is the best comic book Jason Aaron has probably written. Where are we going to go back to? Probably like Conan the Barbarian, maybe number 4. Something where it's been a long time, maybe a year and a half since he's really written an actual good comic book. I'm recommending this one. I'm surprised. I thought I was going to hate Heroes Reborn. It should not be called Heroes Reborn. Maybe it should be called Age of Coulson or something like that, because this is more of an homage to Age of Apocalypse and has absolutely nothing to do with Heroes Reborn, as far as I can tell. If you are looking for some mindless comic fun that you don't need to know any of the previous issues or stories that are going on to actually come and enjoy it, Heroes Reborn is for you. I think a lot of people like this. If you can just get past that one page of dialogue, which is, admittedly, it makes you want to barf in your mouth. It's just, stop preaching Jason Aaron and just tell a good story. You wasted an entire page saying nothing when you could have been spelling out some of the story or developing characters or developing an actual plot in here. But those are just my thoughts. I hope people enjoy it. And if you were going to skip this one, maybe you should reconsider. It's much better than I think any of us probably imagined. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.